Hello everyone, today is 15th of February. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Now guys, first of all, let's have a look on today's GS folder. So today we'll take a quote from Aristotle, the Greek philosopher. He had talked about democracy. He says, democracy arises out of the notion that those who are equal in any respect are equal in all respects because men are equally free. They claim to be absolutely equal. Now, guys, this particular idea can be correlated to the fact that when we talk about democracy, it is not a system for the political equality. Rather, it entails the social equality, economic equality, as well as cultural equality. And into this particular thing, notions of secularism giving equality to all the voices becomes integral to the democracy. Now, friends, we can utilize this particular idea into the questions related to the GS paper number 2 as well as onto the essays on democracy. So, friends, that is all. And now let's take the newspaper analysis in detail. Now, taking up the first article. So, guys, this article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper and it will be important for GS paper number 2 under the topic of federal issues. Now guys, when we talk about the federal irritants, the major irritant has been the sharing of the interstate water between the different states, and into this capacity, the dispute between the Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, Haryana and Punjab are very much evident. And now onto the such lines guys, a new type of dispute has been emerged between the Odisha government on one hand and the Andhra Pradesh government, and it is because that recently the Andhra Pradesh government had conducted the panchayat elections into the Kotia villages, which is a group of 28 villages. And the dispute has emerged because the Odisha government says that these villages are the part of the Odisha's territory and illegally the panchayat elections have been conducted. Now guys, before further going into this particular matter, taking up the very basic information. So these Kotia villages, actually they are inhabited by the Kond tribe and the region is supposed to be rich into the minerals such as the manganese, bauxite, graphite and limestone. Now guys, if we go into the origin of this particular issue, then see, in 1936, for the first time, the demarcation was made between the Andhra Pradesh region and the Odisha region. And at this point of time, there were certain land parcels which were not properly demarcated, and it included the land parcel of the Kotia village. And because of that improper demarcation since 1953, the Andhra Pradesh is claiming that the Kotia is the part of the Andhra Pradesh. And guys, since then the tussle is going on. And if we talk about the present status, then guys, into these villages already they are participating into the assembly as well as Lok Sabha elections for both the states, Andhra Pradesh as well as Odisha state. However, for the panchayat, only the Odisha state was conducting the elections here. And now the Andhra Pradesh has also conducted the panchayat elections. Now guys, this particular matter has also been to the judiciary, and in 2006 the Supreme Court has held the status quo onto this particular region because it was said that the Supreme Court is not competent to look into this particular matter and only the Parliament via a Constitutional Amendment Act can decide the final status of this particular region. And guys, since then the issue has not been resolved. So into this particular line, when we are talking about the irritants, this is a new type of irritant which has been emerged, and guys, it is now pertinent onto the parliament that as soon as possible the decision is to be taken up, because guys, these particular issues also fuel up a kind of an antagonizations between the different states and impede the integration of the nation as a one single entity. So guys, that is all about this particular issue, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article has been taken from the Indian Express, and here we will see the recent crisis that is going on into the Nepal with respect to the agitation staged by the women onto one proposed law which they suppose is unequal. Now guys, let's see into this particular matter. So what has happened? Nepal has proposed a new law into which it has been said that the women who are below the age of 40 years, if they want to go outside the country, they need to have a consent from guardian of her family, which needs to be a male, and if the male is not there, then they have to take the consent from the ward office of their particular region. Now, this proposed legislation is called to be highly discriminatory, and the women groups are showing that by this particular thing, the patriarchal mindset is being affirmed by the government. And guys, this particular issue had further added into the political crisis which is already going into the Nepal, because recently the Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli, he dissolved the parliament because he said that the government is not reflecting the electorate, and this particular move has been questioned. It has been said that under the new constitution of the Nepal, Nepal, the Prime Minister did not had any power to dissolve the parliament. So this one issue was going on, and this another issue had added, and the political distrust has come into the entire country. Now, if we ask the logic of this particular law, then the guys government had provided that every year large number of Nepalese women, they are going outside and into the abroad, particularly into the Middle East. They are being trafficked, and either they are being killed or they are physically or sexually they are being assaulted. Now the agencies, they are luring the young women by promising them high paying jobs, and often they are not knowing about the implication when they will end up into the foreign territory. So in order to curb this particular issue, such kind of legislation has been proposed. And further, it has been provided that the legislation is not only aimed at the women, rather it is also aimed at on many of the placement agencies which are hiring the Nepalese women in order to place them into the jobs in Middle East and all such kind of countries. Often these placement agencies are not registering themselves into the Nepalese consulate into the overseas country. So it will be bringing the regularization onto these placement agencies also. So guys, this is the entire issue which has come, and now as we see that the feminism is increasing across the world, this is an assertion towards the women, which is a kind of a positive thing, because many a times earlier also such kind of legislations have been passed, but they have never been questioned. But guys, the present century, fueled by the social media, is the characteristic that every particular section is now very much aware of their rights, and whenever there is a violation, a kind of a protest erupts. So guys, this is all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article has been taken from the Indian Express and can be utilized into the GS paper number 2 with respect to the social justice and the developmental issues. Now see, when we talk about the road accidents, guys, it has been called as something which erodes the demographic dividend of India. And in the same direction, now the World Bank has recently released a report which has been titled as Traffic Crash Injuries and Disabilities, the Burden on Indian Society report. According to this report, it has been said that every year approximately 4.5 lakh accidents occur in India, and in them more than 1.5 lakh people are dying every year. Now it has been said that these accidents are not only the sorry state of affairs or a humanitarian crisis, rather they are having many other aspects also, including the gender impact. It has been provided by the World Bank report that the women bore more of a burden into the case of accident. Why? Because when the bread earner of the family dies, then the responsibility of work lies onto the women. The caregiving into the case of some disability occurs onto the women, and further the women are also subjected to the huge trauma which occurs because of the accident. And guys, along with it, the economic burden also comes. It has been provided that in by the one death into a family, 7 months of the household income declines. So therefore, it has been provided that government as well as people need to enhance their consciousness onto the road. Road behavior has to be improved so that such kind of fatalities can be reduced. Now guys, further the report has identified the areas where the immediate attention or the improvement is needed. They had said that India needs to work onto the post-crash emergency care, and it will include both the institutional care as well as the swift response. Often it has been seen that whenever an accident occurs, the people don't come to help forward, and the time after the accident has been called as the golden hour, and because the care is not given, the people are not there to help them, many of the fatalities occur. So the swift response needs to be there, and then there needs to be the hospital into the vicinity where the immediate care can be given. After that guys, government also needs to work onto insurance and compensation systems. Often it has been seen that in India, insurance penetration is very much low, and in case of any accident, there are the economic crisis which follows if the breadwinner is impacted into the accident. So government needs to work onto such kind of insurance policies that their penetration can be improved. Further guys, also the infrastructure, the physical infrastructure, the quality of the roads, design and engineering also needs to be worked upon. So guys, these are some of the areas where the focus has to be made. So guys, this is all into this particular aspect, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, this particular article has been taken from the Indian Express, and it is assessing the 15th Finance Commission, whose report has just been made public by the government of India. Now, see, when we talk about the Finance Commission, guys, you might already be knowing that under Article number 280, the Finance Commission is to be constituted by the President, and the Finance Commission will recommend that how the fiscal devolution of the revenue will be made between the state as well as the central government, as well as there could be the other terms of reference also which can be given by the President to the Finance Commission. Now, first of all, guys, already we have discussed the detailed report of the Finance Commission onto the 3rd of the February newspaper analysis. So, if you have not seen it, you can see it. Now, assessing the 15th Finance Commission's report, it has been said that it has been good on some of the respects. For example, the state share has been retained at the earlier rate of 42%. Though government was pressing the state finance commission that this particular share should go down. Now, guys, you might be knowing that into the 13th finance commission, this share was 32%. Into the 14th, it was increased to 42%. Now, the central government wanted that either it should go to the 32% or at somewhat lower level, but it has been retained. So, therefore, it is a good thing. Further, guys, it was said that the Finance Commission has also continued with the revenue deficit grants, and the revenue deficit grants of to the tune of 1.18 lakh crore rupees has been given to the state governments, and it will be helping the state governments into the times of the pandemic, because it has been seen that the huge revenue deficit will be created because of the lockdown was there, and at the same time the expenditures had also increased. So these are the good points. However, at the same time there are some bad things also. Number one, it has been provided that, as I have told you, terms of reference can be given to the Finance Commission. So this time a terms of reference was given that Finance Commission should recommend that whether the government should create a non-lapsable fund for the defense and the internal security, and the Finance Commission has recommended that yes, such a fund can be created, and the fund's value will be the 7,000 crore rupees. Now, into this particular respect, a question is coming that such fund should have been created out of the center government's own money. Now, guys, if we take just a very basic information, suppose 100 rupees were received by the government as a revenue. Now, out of this, 42 rupees were to be given to the state and 58 rupees were to be kept by the center. So it was said that out of this 58 rupees, such kind of fund was to be created. But rather, what has been done? Out of this 100 rupees, the fund has been created. So therefore, guys, at the end of the day, the impact will also be onto the share of the state government, and this particular thing has been called as something which is going against constitutional design. It has been said that already the state governments are shelling the substantial money for the internal security into the terms of expenditure that they are making in order to maintain the law and order situation, and now this will be the additional burden onto them. So this particular thing has not been appreciated. Then further, there are other issues also. See, it has been said that the horizontal devolution which has been suggested, it will lead to the partisan federalism in India. Now, number one, what is the horizontal devolution? Guys, I told you that the 42 rupees out of 100 rupees will be going to the state, but what actual amount will be for the different state? What will be given actually to the UP? What will be actually be given to the Haryana? It is the horizontal devolution. Now, earlier Finance Commission said that the horizontal devolution will be onto the equity. It was said that we will see your population, we will see your size, we will see your geography, and will give you the money. So here there was a less of a arbitrariness, though there was some of the expenditure which was also linked to the performance, but its share was very much less. Now, the 15th Finance Commission had said that the 75% of the money will be given onto the equity, onto the basis of geography, etc., and the remaining money will be given onto the basis of performance, that how the state is performing onto the health, how it is performing onto the sustainable development and all such kind of things. Now, it has been said that such kind of a performance evaluation will be bringing a kind of an arbitrariness, and the states which are having the favorable government or the government of by the dominant parties there, they will be giving more money, and the opposition states will be getting the less of a money. Then, guys, after this, there is another issue which is coming, that is the Finance Commission has also not studied many of the important issues. See, when the GST tax was imposed, then, guys, it was said that the states which were manufacturing ones or the state which were exporting states, they got the disadvantage. Why? Because GST is a consumption based tax. It doesn't matter that where the good has been produced, but guys, where the consumption has been made, that particular state will be compensated for the GST, and therefore it was suggested that the 15th Finance Commission should have looked into the GST matter and should have find out a new way that how the production states or the exporting states can also be given a kind of a remuneration. Moreover, now it was said when the GST came that the 14% guaranteed increment will be given to the state government for their GST. collections. But guys, into the times of the pandemic, such kind of promise was not fulfilled. So how into the future such kind of problem will not be there? That should also have been studied by the Finance Commission. But guys, such a thing has again been ignored. So guys, these are the issues or the critical assessment of the 15th Finance Commission. Now, as this Finance Commission has come after the 5 years, there is a high probability that into the GS paper number 2 or GS paper number 3, there could be a question onto such kind of things. So guys, please do keep it into your mind. So that is all about this article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this article has been taken from the Indian Express newspaper, and it is talking about some of the agricultural lessons that we can take up from the China as well as Israel. Now into this entire article, basically two suggestions have been made. Number one, it has been said that we should learn from the China how the market reforms can be brought into the agriculture, and we should learn from the Israel that how the sustainability can be brought into the agriculture. Now see, it has been said that agricultural production in India can be increased to 2 times or 3 times into the next 15 to 20 years, and this particular thing has actually been done by the China, where their agricultural output is 3 times more than the agricultural output in India. And guys, the China has done with all the limitations. For example, the China's arable area is less than the India. Then guys, often in India we say is that the average size of the land holding is very much less, but the same problem is there into the China also. And even the China's average land holding size is even less than the India. In China, the average land holding is 0.9 hectare, where is in India it is 1.08 hectares, which is high. And at the same time guys, because of the substantial reforms that has been brought by the China, the absolute poverty in China has substantially been reduced. Now if we see the absolute poverty at the rate of people earning less than the $1.9 per day, then only 0.7% population into the China is lying below this particular line. But in India, more than 13.4% people are earning less than the $1.9. So poverty is more. Why? Because our agriculture is not a product, whereas in China the agriculture is highly productive. Now if we see the Chinese journey, then guys, it has been provided that in 1978 China had taken up the agricultural reforms. It dismantled the commune system and had liberalized the agricultural market, and the agricultural incomes doubled into the next 6 years into the China. And guys, whatever the surplus production was there, surplus wealth which was created because of the agriculture, it was invested via the town and village enterprises, and by that the cottage industries or the village industries was created, and China actually became the manufacturing hub. And when the manufacturing sector improved or increased, the excess agricultural labor was accommodated into the manufacture, and China has become the manufacturing powerhouse today. And today China's per capita income is 5 times more than the India. Now when we talk about guys the India's reforms, then in 1991 we went forward with the reform, but it bypassed complete like agriculture sector. Today even our agriculture sector is more the consumer oriented. We want that how food can be affordable to the poor people. We are fixated onto that particular idea, and into this particular thing we had imposed large number of controls. For example, the control onto the exports, control onto the prices and all such kind of things, and it has not benefited the farmer. So guys, we need to go forward with the opening up of the agricultural marketing, and into this particular direction we can learn from the China. Further guys, we can also learn from the Israel, which can make us learn that how sustainable agriculture can be practiced. Guys, today the Punjab has been turning into a crisis state because of large paddy which is being grown into the Punjab. For it they are relying onto the ground water. Now Israel can offer an opportunity into this particular respect. They had turned the desert into the kind of an arable land, and now they are cultivating the high value crops which are being exported. When we talk about the Israel guys, the water abundance is not there, but still the citrus fruits etc they are growing here. And how they have done? Number one, they had used every drop of water. They had focused onto the recycling of the urban wastewater for the agriculture, and desalinization of the seawater has been carried. What we are doing in India, directly using the groundwater. Now in to the context of Israel, many times the Prime Minister and various other chief ministers have visited there, but have actually never done any substantial thing. But now the matters as usual should not go. It has been suggested into the article that guys, we need to immediately drop the idea of the free water which is there in India, and because of this free water's idea, the people are exploiting the groundwater. The water cost needs to be there, and by this the people will becoming more water consciousness, and the states such as Punjab and Haryana, which are bound to go into a water crisis into the next 10, 15, 20 years, they will be saved. So guys, these are the two lessons from the Israel and China that we can take up. Guys, please do utilize these particular examples into your answers related to the GS paper number 3 agricultural reforms. So that is all about this article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and here we will be seeing some of the information which could be important for your prelims examination, because onto the similar lines already the question onto the prelims has been asked. Now this particular article mentions that the fossils of the Dickinsonia has been found at the Bhimbetka. Now, before going into this particular article, let's take some basic information. Now, guys, first of all, when we talk about the Bhimbetka, it is a very important site and it is located into the Madhya Pradesh. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site because, guys, it contains the first specimen of the human art. First, see, into the Bhimbetka, there are more than 750 rock shelters which are scattered over the 7 hills, and they are containing many of the paintings from the Paleolithic and the Mesolithic period, and many of the paintings are even more than 1 lakh years old. Guys, the Bhimbetka caves, they are actually into the Ratapani Wildlife Sanctuary. Please keep it into your mind. Now guys, see, into the Bhimbetka, there is one particular cave, that is the Auditorium Cave, which is one of the largest cave. Now into this Auditorium Cave, the Dickinsonia's fossil has been found. Now guys, the Dickinsonia, it is believed to be the earliest known animal, and it was existing 550 million years ago. See, when we talk about the thriving of the life onto the earth, then guys, the complex life arrived after the Cambrian period around 540 million years ago, and just before this complex life evolved, there were the simple organisms which are living, and into this particular direction, the Dickinsonia, it is a link between the complex life as well as the simple life. It is also called as the earliest known animal. And guys, the specimen of the Dickinsonia has also been found into the Australia. And as the same Dickinsonia is found now into the India, it also further cements the theory that once the Australia as well as India were the part of the same land continent. So guys, these are the major key takeaways from this particular article. See guys, 2 years back, there was a finger of the Homo denisova that was discovered into the Siberia region. And onto the same line, the question was asked into the prelims that what is the Denisova? Is it the species of the human beings or such kind of things? So please keep this discovery into your mind. There could be a question. However, you don't need to go into the specific or the hairline details because majorly the questions have been very much broad themed. So that is all about this article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it is a brief reminder that how the government is moving with the targets, but it is not having any particular strategy. And see, the reference which we are taking here can be utilized into the GS paper number 2 with respect to the assessment of the government's welfare scheme. See, government has said in 2016 that it is bringing up the substantial reforms into the agriculture sector, and by the year 2022, the farmers' income will be doubled. And guys, the Ashok Dulwai committee was also constituted, that how this particular thing can be taken up. Now, a question has been raised into the parliament with respect to the achievement of the target of the doubling the farmers' income. See, first of all, guys, there was one brief update also that came few months back. Actually, this target was changed from 2022 to 2024. Now, guys, the question has been asked that number one, what is the base year with which the farmers' income will be compared? And secondly, it has been asked that whether government is confident that such a target can be fulfilled. Now guys, it has been provided that the pandemic has negatively affected the farmer, as well as there will be the problem onto the doubling of the farmer's income. Now guys, government's response has been this, that they will be assessing as well as monitor the farmer's income onto the basis of the NSSO survey. However, actually what will be the base year, this particular thing has not been provided. Now, when we are talking about the doubling incomes, then guys, according to the Ashok Dulwai, 7 strategies have been identified by which the farmer's income can be doubled. It is number 1, that is the improvement in crops and the livestock productivity. Number 2 is saving in production cost through efficient use of resources, providing them better technology assisted aids. After that, the next strategy is higher cropping intensity and diversification towards the high value crops. Then there will be the better price realization, and the shift will be there to the non-farm jobs. And by this particular thing, it is expected that the farmer's income will be doubled. But as of the baseline, there has nothing been provided. So guys, this is all into this particular respect. I hope that you have understood it. So guys, that is all for the today's newspaper analysis. Thank you so much.